Welcome to Colney Talk Podcast.
Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Welcome back to another episode of Colney Talk Podcast, a bite-sized show. I'm your host, Alex, first-time guest. Happy to have you here. And to my returning listeners, thanks for joining me. On this bite-sized show, I talk a bit about the Arsenal game and then pick out my top 3 Arsenal players who I think were great in the game and one player I consider the odd one who just had a poor game or not good enough, who just needs to be called out. Arsenal at Anfield, a big matchup. 1 versus 2 in terms of the Premier League standings, one of the grounds we were yet to conquer in terms of claiming a victory. Well, I would say I was grateful for the result more than anything, just getting a draw here. Watching the game back, I didn't expect a change in the lineup because that's the strongest that we have. Arsenal were going for the quick start, and for that, we were rewarded with an early goal from a set piece by Big Gabby. Unexpectedly for many, it just came so quick and fast, and I think that was what we needed. It was a strong header, the start that really pushed us into a higher gear. Arsenal were pressing Liverpool effectively in those first few minutes, and Havertz at some point, he nicked the ball up top at some point, but it was a bit too stretched to do something given the ball was too far away from him. Arsenal's good play forward continued, and Liverpool were trying to get themselves right into the game, which they quickly did, and Liverpool started pressing us in our own half. And in some occasions, we managed to play our game, get ourselves out of the press that we were really, positioned in, and we managed to drive forward. Although it looked like we were forced to play a certain way in terms of kicking the ball long. That was effective in managing the pressure that we were getting from Liverpool, and it also helped us in limiting our mistakes when we would have like a missed pass, which occasionally was the intent and how the pressure Liverpool were bringing to us would cause. And Arsenal kept their shape defensively. It really helped them play with minimal stiffness. There was a lot of drive forward essence to score another goal that was there in that first half. But then with one perfect pass to Mo Salah, Zinchenko was left exposed, and it was just 1-on-1 between himself and Mo Salah, and he just got himself a chance to score. It was such a dreadful feeling. And all the memories back from the previous game last year when we played them and how vulnerable Zinchenko was again just came crawling back. It was such a distasteful thought to come all the way back. But that's a game, and we had to keep fighting. And Liverpool now started playing in our own half and in their own game. Talk about we were getting a taste of their own intense pressure. The game was now in a mode of duels and clearances in both boxes. Arsenal were doing a lot more clearances, but often more, we were, again, very bold to get the ball, cut through, find our way throughout the press and drive forward. And a lot of that got us closer to their inferno third. Although they were not giving Arsenal as many breathing room to build up from the back, move with the ball whenever we regain, possessions. We had another chance, like so many other times, to drive when we were driving forward to score from a lovely pass from Jesus to Saka, but he was pushed to a tight angle, and then a poor shot from Martinelli coming in to support. The game was entertaining so much, I just lost track of time. It was now 4 added minutes before the half, and Arsenal played their game and were very poised off the ball, not giving much for Liverpool to pick us off, and that was it for the first half. Very entertaining, very tight end-to-end, giving us that gear to get in and get that early score, and that hunger to go for a second was that push in so much of the battle that we had in that first half. And then for the second, at that moment, I realized we were not necessarily forced to go long, but it was the wise thing to do, because one missed pass and one dispossession, in this case, when often Odegaard got double teamed and he got picked off with the ball, Arsenal team kept scrambling back to defend so quickly that was a huge opportunity for Liverpool, who failed to capitalize, and it was a serious warning for our dispossessed players a lot of times that happened. In fact, it felt like this was now the signs of what they intended to do, getting stealing the ball in our half, transitioning quickly without having the whole team driving forward, and it was a dangerous situation, and it put the defenders in a lot of tight scrambling moments of who to decide to cover, not necessarily who had the ball, but just making very quick decisions, and that was a lot to tell for Saliba, Big Gabby, and especially Declan Rice. It was an end-to-end game, but we started unraveling in our defense, and we lost our cool. I mean, there was just quite a lot of peppering going on for Arsenal, and our mistakes were piling up. We weren't effective. We weren't affecting some calm in playing from the back that we usually would. We didn't have some sense of calm when we were in this level of pressure, which we've dealt with in the past. It is Liverpool. We are playing in Anfield, a complete different beast, but we just needed some sense of calm. And then we had some brilliant moments where we were able to drive forward, but no initiative on the other attackers to try to get in for a chance for a tap in or connect into the crosses that were coming in from Saka. That was just more like a chance that would just leave on itself and create something. And even Jesus at some point, a couple of his shots that just went through, there was no one, in that box, getting right stuck in to either tap in or cause some problems with the defenders. Odegaard was easily knocked over when he received the ball, which quickly turned into fast breaks for Liverpool and moments that gave us a lot of concern, giving us that vulnerability right there whenever we were trying to build something. And then at the 71st minute, I wasn't sure if I was breathing. Probably most of you didn't even blink or were saying a prayer at the moment when Rice was facing a blistering 4-on-1 moment from a corner that was not properly cleared, and then they were just storming down to score, and thankfully we were saved by the bar. We were so fortunate day. I mean, it was a big miss. We had no right to had any miracle happen, but that did, and it was still 1-1. I mean, that was a very scary moment. It was a very worrisome moment because we would have easily lost the game from that. And then something with the pitch, though, a lot of slips, a lot of falls on both sides. It just, I wasn't sure if this was, again, a tactic, because that's the way I would think first before assuming everything else. And there were some casualties, and this was not good at all. I mean, the game was tight, and these slips really caused so much bad plays in so many situations. And I'm sure Liverpool, they probably would talk about that, seeing how a couple of their players were down injured. Now, the game was about tight margins and either team fighting to have some luck in helping tilt the game, for the opportunity on their side. Liverpool had that and they missed that chance. And then we tried to do a few things. 10 minutes to 90, Arsenal were having the upper hand to take another crack on goal. Corner kicks from Trossard. What looked like we had a bit more on the ball where we wanted to create something. We had to play cautiously at the same time to avoid any counterattack, which we did suffer. Thankfully, we closed down, and tightened up from all that to not give Liverpool any more chances for what they may have tried to do. And that was so much that we kept struggling, fighting for as we had the ball in some moments and those quick counterattacks happened. We were so much more concerned in closing down those channels, which we did show very good poise with defensively, and that was it. I mean, for most of the chances that Liverpool had, all the channels for any last minute setup for Liverpool, that was all shut down, and it was now a 1-1 draw from a number of scary moments that had us vulnerable, that we ever looked like we were giving the ball away, or in very bad situations we just managed to do a good job defensively. I mean, the score could have just been a 2-1 loss, but as I said, I'm thankful for the point, and I commend the team for the performance, because they did show the fight. They did show their hunger it's never that easy to sustain it all through the game. And those few moments that we were exposed, but then didn't really have anything to show, like suffer the consequences from a sheet standpoint. Thankfully, that was something that we escaped. And so my top three in the game, it starts with Declan Rice. Yet another elite game by this guy. I mean, there is no one in our squad that is able to play as good as he has been and crucial in saving us in moments that would have been just seen us break apart. He's just one solid anchor. I mean, I'm like I said, I will not, as much as he continues to play this way, I'm not gonna say that I don't have any more things to say about him because he's just unbelievably good. Second player, Saliba. Defensively, he was our main sweeper. We suffered a lot of press from Liverpool, and yet he was calm and smooth in his play, dribbling out of tight corners and brushing off Nunes and Gakpo when each of them got on the ball. He had himself an excellent game in just managing this kinds of situation in Anfield. And remember, we didn't have Saliba last season when we were at Anfield, and this is one of a good preview of how he remains consistently present in the back and such a great partner for Big Gabby, who, by the way, gets his own shout out for how much he played and for his goal and the contributions he had. It was just a very tandem defensive solid right there in the back. Third and final player, Saka. He was the brightest in attack and the best player in front that was able to manage the triple defenders and still create chances, only to have no one on the other end to receive his crosses. He grew in confidence and just kept playing on, going forward, and even in the dying moments, I thought he was going to do something. But either way, he was really in a high gear, very well alive in these high moments, big stage in Anfield, just wanting to do something. He had a great game. Now, I didn't like about four players' performances in this game to warrant the one odd tag, but someone was going to get it today, and this game for me, it was Zinchenko. Besides his defensive shortcomings, I thought there would be so much more conservative defending on his part. Maybe he did, but it was not enough to the standards, so he's the one I'm calling out today. A couple of dispossessions from Zinchenko caused a few of the frantic responses from the defenders, as I said, were a mispass, and we had to quickly scramble back and keep our composure. While I saw a slight improvement, I was not pleased with how he played defensively, so he's the one that takes it for today. But, there were just a few other players that I thought would contribute more with the drive and that hunger that they kept showing early on in the second half. Some of those chances that we had, we just were not able to at least convert it some way to shot attempts to make something happen. So that's what I'll leave with those comments there. But there are lots of positives more than negatives. We have a point which easily could have been nothing, like could have been a devastating loss and could have psychologically messed us up. But thankfully, that's nothing for us here, and there's so much to be grateful for, and at least injury-free. There were a number of good gameplay executions. So we take it to our next game. Well done to the boys, and I would like to take this moment to wish everyone a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. Until the next game, enjoy. Take care.